Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. In this video today I'm going to tell you how to perform hold using the Flybywire Airbus A320 Neo. And if you're using any other Airbus as well, Phoenix Airbus A320 or the Flight Factor Airbus A320, these are the planes that I've been flying a lot, especially the Flight Factor for X-Plane 11. The procedures are the same. You can perform them in any Airbus A320 or A320 Neo, and especially in the Airbus A330 if you've downloaded it from the links given in one of the videos on my channel. So it's very easy to perform a hold. Hold can be performed in different cases. In case there is too much traffic, visibility is low, or any other problem that you face and the ATC asks you to hold at a certain point or a waypoint given in the flight plan. I'm using hold right now just to simulate a scenario in which I have missed the top of descent, and the top of descent was late, and just before the runway the altitude was very high and I'm trying to reduce the altitude. So this is the scenario that I'm using. Otherwise you can use any scenario. I perform a hold, reduce the altitude, and then I perform an approach. Right now this is a Flybywire Airbus A320 Neo, as explained it to you before, and I'm doing a flight from Lahore to Islamabad. It's a very short flight of 40 to 50 minutes. Everything is good so far. Right now I'm in the cruise mode. The plane is crossing 18,000 feet, going for 24, rather I'll change it to 25,000 feet, and everything is looking good so far for this option, the landing option, the landing calculation. I have entered all the information over here, so I know how much brake is required to stop at different levels. If I go with a low brake, it's 2,460 meters, and with medium it's 1,731. Max, if I'm doing the manual, it's 1,371. So I will be using the medium brakes upon approach, full flaps, and that's it. So this information is there, and plus I've also populated the MCDU in the performance. You can see this all information is there. The QNH 997, temperature is given, wind, transition altitude, and plus the full flaps, and plus the approach speed is 134 knots. So this, all of this information is there. Now let's go and have a look at the airport charts, and let's see at what points or the waypoints we can perform a hold. This is the airport chart for the Islamabad International Airport, and you can easily download them from Google. You can simply search by the airport ICAO code, OPIS, let's say in this case is the Islamabad International Airport, and you can search it in the Google. Maybe if you find a free one ready to download, you can download them. These are the Jeppesen charts, only for the flight simulation purpose, not to be used for the real life scenarios, and you can download them, you can use them. Otherwise you have to have a subscription of Navigraph. I avoid asking people to get the Navigraph subscription, because obviously most of the people, they don't really want to spend so much money, or their pocket might not allow them to go for Navigraph subscription, because it's not a one-time thing, it's a monthly thing. One time it's good, and the Navigraph, if you want to update the ARIC cycle, but if you want to have access to all the airport charts, then you need to have a regular subscription so that you can access the airport charts. I'll also show you that in the Flybywire you can also use the Navigraph charts. You can download them, you can use them in this electronic flight bag, but I actually refrain from doing this, and I tell people if they can find it over the internet, it's good without spending any money. So right now you can see that this is actually an approach towards the Islamabad International Airport, and this is actually the detail of all the standard instrument standard terminal arrival stars. This is actually for the R9 arrivals. You can see I will be using index 1A, and let's see which star I am using for this flight. If I go here in the flight plan, and you can see that I am using Indo through Indy 1A. So this is good. The star is given, and the via the transition point is ISDO. So you can see in this chart that the holding over ISDO is given, and the maximum speed is given 220 knots, and all this information for the holding is given, and you can perform an approach. It's you come in straight. The degrees is given. The heading is 350 degrees, and it's a left turn. So you perform a left turn, and then you keep on moving in this circle or the holding pattern till the time you get the clearance from the ATC to start towards the runway. So that's it. So we have to remember this point, that this turn is towards the left side. Right now you can hear the announcement is going on because I'm at the cruising altitude. What I'll do is this. I'll just refer to this top of descent option. Sorry, I just clicked it. So my target altitude is 2000 feet. During the descent I will try to reach to 2000 feet. I should start my descent 72 nautical miles before the runway, and right now how far I am from the runway, it's 97 nautical miles. So let's see, I will start my descent 60 nautical miles away from the runway, and because it's a late top of descent, that's why just near the runway I will be at a very high altitude. So I will perform a hold, try to reduce the altitude, and then I will continue with the flight. Right now you can see that my distance from the runway is 62 nautical miles. Not my distance, the airplane's distance. Okay, and I should have started the descent at before this point, or 72 nautical miles just before the runway. So it means that if I start the descent right now, I will be at a higher altitude. As per the constraints, I'll also turn on the constraints, and you can see all the constraints over here on the screen. So the plane will be at a very high altitude. So what I'll do is, right now I will set the altitude to 2000 feet, and I will select the manage mode, and the descent will start just 57 nautical miles before the runway. And now the descent has started. As you can see, as per the constraints, that at this point I should be higher than 6000 feet. But if your altitude is at 6000 or 7000, it's easy to manage your approach. But right now my altitude will be really high. So what I'll do is this. I will select this waypoint on the flight plan. Let's go to ISRO and go to flight plan. Already it's selected, and in the flight plan, look for ISRO and just click this button, the soft key adjacent to ISRO, and then select hold. And you can see it's a right turn. You can change it to left as well. Let's see if I can change it. Yes, convert to computed. If I select this option, it will go for the right one, and if I select left, it will go towards left. And if I select insert, because as I've shown you before in the airport charts, it was a left turn, so you can go with the right turn or the left turn, but it's good to follow the flight charts. Okay, so I will select insert, and then you can see that in the flight plan after ISRO there is a hold. ISRO at the waypoint ISRO, and then after the hold, the plane will again go towards ISRO, and then will continue with the flight. So right now you can see a left turn is coming after Punop, and then the plane will follow the holding pattern. So let's wait for it and see how it works. Right now you can see the plane is at 20,000 feet. I think over here at this point it should be at 12,000 feet. I'm just roughly calculating it because you can see it's very near. Just to show you guys, if I select a right pattern and the way it was calculated, let's say if I go to ISDO and hold and revert to computed, if I select this and insert, now you will see this holding pattern has changed, so it's towards the right side. So it's totally up to you whether you want to select the left or the right, but right now I've just switched to the calculated one just to ensure that there is no issue during this flight. And now you can see, as the plane was near this waypoint, the holding pattern has started to appear over here as given in the airport charts. So you can try left and right based on your preference and based on the charts. Right now I'm just going with the calculated one because honestly speaking, I don't want any mess ups to happen during this flight because I get very short time to make these videos because tomorrow is my office and just spending my weekend making these videos for the next week. So that's why I am just being careful. Otherwise you can just try different things on your own. So right now you can see that at this point, BTR 15, there is a deceleration point, but as you can see that at this point the altitude is really high and the speed given is 220 knots. You can see now the speed is reducing because the plane is going into the holding pattern, so it is already decided as per the options given over here. So at ISDO the speed should be 220 knots. You can see the speed during the holding is 215 knots and the plane is now reducing the speed, or rather the autopilot. So over here the altitude should be 5,000 and more, but 5,000 and 6,000 is a safe altitude. You can still manage to land. So the speed is reducing to the green dot speed. It is the optimum speed with a clean configuration without any flaps or slats. And during the hold, then you can perform all the settings for the approach and landing. And now you can see the plane will turn towards the right. And now the plane will continue to fly in the holding pattern till the time you select this option exit. Here it is. Let's see. Yeah. So you can see this option is coming, immediate exit, and if I select hold, you can see this information. The time is 1, distance is 3.6 nautical miles. So this all information is coming over here. So it is looking good so far. Now the altitude is at 16,300 feet. And you can see the altitude is constantly reducing because the plane is descending. Let's select, see if in the, yes, I can still activate the approach phase. Right now it's not required because the speed is already in control. Maybe below 10,000 feet I can then activate the approach phase. So if you are doing a flight, and this is the best use that I can find in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, except if you're flying for VATSIM and you have given instructions from the ATC to go into a hold. Otherwise, if you're coming at a higher altitude and you cannot descend before the runway to the given altitude to catch the ILS glide slope, then it's good to perform a hold, reduce the altitude, and then you can continue with approach and landing. Now, as the plane is below the transition altitude, that was 14,000 feet, that's why standard is blinking. So that's why we have to change the QNH to QNH from standard. And let's see what's the QNH in Islamabad. It's 998. Let's change it to 998, and that's it. As I've mentioned before, that till the time you don't finish or exit from this holding pattern, the plane will continue to fly in the holding pattern. So now we have completed one circle, going for the second one. The altitude is at 11,500 feet right now. So I hope after watching this video you will have no issues if you miss the top of descent, because in the Flybywire Airbus A320 the top of descent doesn't come. You have to consult the EFB for that, or contact the ATC. So if in case you miss the top of descent, this is an option that you can use to reduce the altitude and then proceed towards the approach. At 7,000 feet, I will exit the holding pattern by using this option, immediate exit. Right now, you can see the altitude is 7,400 feet. So I can just finish the hold, and you can see its resume hold option is coming. If I press this option, the plane will again go into a hold. But right now the holding pattern is there, but obviously the plane will just go out of the holding pattern. It will cross ISDOR as given over here in this flight plan, and the speed will be 220 knots. So right now, maybe as I told you before, we can activate the approach phase, and I can just set the flaps to 1. I can arm the ground spoilers and set the brakes to medium. So you can see that we were hardly 600 feet above the given point over here, so which is a safe altitude. And right now I can activate LS to see that we are lower than the given glide slope, so it's good. If you are lower than the glide slope, it's easy to manage, but if you are higher, then it's an issue, because then the diamond will be below and you will be at a higher altitude. And now you can see that the autopilot has again started to descend towards the next point, which is BTR 15, and there is a deacceleration point. And before this point, I've also activated the approach phase. So now everything is looking good and we are in safe hands. This diamond is up, so it means we are slightly below, which is okay. At this point, we should be at 5,000 or higher than that, but obviously if you are at 5,000, it's good, it's safe. And you can see that just right before this point, we are at 5,400 feet. So I have been able to manage the altitude using the hold option. I can just go with one more flaps to position 2, and you can see that right now everything is looking good so far. The next point is CF28 left, and at this point the plane should be at 3,700 feet or above. It is managed by the autopilot. So you can see now that the speed is under control and everything is looking good so far. If I go over here into progress, I can enter OPIS 28 left. See, it's 12 nautical miles away, the runway. 28 left. Yes, this is the destination. So 28 left is 12 nautical miles away, and that's it. So this is how you perform a hold. So if you are just flying without VATSIM, you can use this option to reduce the altitude. This is a very good use of this option. Otherwise, if you're using VATSIM and you get instructions from the ATC, this is how you perform a hold. I hope this was a useful video for you. Although I was a bit late in making this video, this option has been there for a very long time and people are making it. But anyhow, I just got late. As I told you before, I've been very busy with my office and my job and plus traveling. So that's why I just got the time today to make this video. If you've got any questions, do ask me your questions in the comment section. I try to respond to all the questions within time. And if there is a delay, kindly accept my apologies in advance. And for any feedback, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for staying with me. Hope to see you soon.